Best Birthday Gift by Jude Aliaga. Lily sat by the phone, waiting for her to pick up the line. Her little dog Brownie walked to her as she waited. She pat Brownie on the head and said, "Who's a good boy?" Lily smiled down at him and it barked back.
Finally, the other person on the line said, "Hi, Lily." Lily was talking to her childhood best friend, Jasmine. Both of them have been friends since kindergarten.
"You haven't forgotten, right?" Jasmine asked Lily. "Of course not," she replied with a weird smile on her face. In 1 week, it would be Jasmine's 7th birthday. Her parents plan to give her a teddy bear, while her brother is going to cook her favorite meal. "Of course I remembered," said Lily. After a few minutes of talking, Jasmine ends their call.
"Oh no!" Lily shouted as she panicked. She was so busy answering her modules, she forgot about her best friend's birthday. She ran around the messy room, jumping and worrying about what to do. Suddenly, she heard the knock on the door. "Mom?"
Lily's mom entered her room. She said, "What's the matter?" Lily felt sad and cried in her mother's arms, while she told her the entire story. Her mother said, "It's okay. You're a very creative child, Lily. Why don't you try making a portrait of Jasmine?" She pointed at Lily's desk, where they saw crayons, pencils, markers, and drawings of cute stuffed animals. Lily started to cheer up. She thanked her mom for the idea and walked up to her table.
So what would Jasmine look like? She first got her pencil and a large pad paper. She drew a circle in the circle and colored it with peach. Next, she drew a curved triangle which looked like a dress. She colored it with pastel pink. Next, she drew 2 round circles near the tip of the triangle, which made them look like puffed sleeves. Lastly, she got her golden marker and started drawing wavy lines from the top of the circle. After a few minutes of trying to find the perfect shade of black to color the shoes with, finally, Lily was able to complete her birthday present for Jasmine.
1 week later, it was time for Jasmine's virtual birthday party. She put on her best dress. It was pink, just like Jasmine's favorite color. She had 1 hour to prepare for the virtual party, so she first tried to come up with a short birthday letter.
Jasmine, happy birthday. Best wishes to you. Thank you for being my best friend. No, that's not right. Jasmine couldn't find the perfect words to say, so she decided to stick to one gift for now. The portrait. She looked at her table where she last put it, but it wasn't there. Suddenly, Brownie walked up to her while chewing a crumpled piece of paper.
Lily was terrified. Brownie ate her gift to Jasmine. She got the paper and saw that her portrait was now wet, soggy, and torn. She brought out her markers and started doodling. She drew the dress, hair, shoes, and the sleeves. Though the coloring was a bit messy, she still hoped Jasmine would like it.
Finally, Jasmine started to call. Lily first greeted her, "Happy birthday," with a nervous look. Jasmine asked her about what was wrong. Lily said, while holding up her last-minute portrait, "I'm sorry, it wasn't much. This was all I could do. Brownie here ate my original gift, but it's all my fault. I should have been more careful." Jasmine was confused but still smiled and said, "It's great. You got the outfit and the colors correctly." Lily was embarrassed but slightly relieved. Jasmine continued, "Remember, Lily, it's the thought that counts. It may not be the most accurate portrait, but it was made with love. Thank you."
Suddenly, a bright light appeared in front of the picture, and it made the picture look better. The colors were all in place, and Jasmine looked perfect.
Lily then realized that the best things are not those given bought with money, but given by the heart. The end.
The magical plant. Who wouldn't want to be the best? Who wouldn't want to make their parents proud? Just like everybody else, Alex always aims to get the good mark on his tests. He strives to be the best. He never settles for less. He studies so hard just to see his name on top of the honors list of his class. And fortunately, his hard work pays off and he often gets a perfect score. May it be in math, science, or English.
This time, however, he finds it more challenging given the online school setting. Seeing his cozy bed just in front of him while he does some homeworks is simply tempting.
One day, as he strolled around their backyard garden at night, he saw a strange glowing small plant. Curious, he took the plant and brought it to his bedroom for him to observe it. "This looks cool," Alex thought. He seemed to forget that he had a test the other day. His focus was solely on this bizarre plant that was green in color, while his notes and reviewers were there, lying on that same table, ignored. Time was running so fast, he did not even notice that it was already 11 in the evening, which was already late for his usual bedtime.
Little by little, his head was slowly lying down on the table with the magical plant just in front of him. And the next thing he knew, he fell asleep.
"Oh no!" he gasped as he woke up in the morning the next day. He just remembered that he forgot to study for his science test. Quickly, he grabbed his notebook and skimmed through the pages, trying to remember all the words that have been written down. But it was too late. A few minutes later, he had to open his laptop as the class was about to start. What's worse is that his first class was science.
The test came. It was a surprise. It seems as if the test was rather too easy. He knew everything on the test, even without studying. And not so long after he submitted the test, he received his grade. A perfect score! He closed his laptop for a while and saw the plant he was observing last night. "You did it, didn't you?" He thought that this plant may have been the reason why he was able to answer the test. "I'll try it again," he thought, in order to find out whether it was real.
The next day came and they had a math test. As expected, he did not bother studying to see whether the plant truly had the magical power to help him answer the test. And, surprise! The same thing happened.
He was so happy. He realized that he could just sleep instead of studying for the tests. With a plant by my side, nothing could go wrong, he thought. He watered the plant every day and placed it near the window for it to receive some sunlight. He made sure that the plant was well taken care of.
Then came quizzes after quizzes. Not a single time did he bother to study for any of them, but he did get either a high mark or a perfect score in all of them. Little did he know that his luck would soon reach an end.
One morning, he woke up as usual before his class. He brushed his teeth and washed his face. He was confident for his English test that day, even without studying. But what he saw on the table beside his laptop shocked him.
The green healthy plant was now brown in color. The plant was seemingly dead. "It can't be," he whispered to himself. He tried watering the plant once more, only to notice that its leaves are ready to fall off at any moment.
His worst nightmare had turned into reality. The test came, and of course, he failed it without the plant's help. After his class, he lay down on his bed feeling sad.
He remembered that he had another English test the next day. Despite feeling down, he got up and faced the fact that he had to study to maintain his high grades.
the test came, and he was able to answer it. He saw his score, and he was so happy to see that he got a perfect score. He realized that he felt way happier and fulfilled that his hard work paid off. It was this day when he realized that he no longer needed a plant. Truly, it felt way better to receive something we worked hard for.
The next day came. He woke up with a surprise. He saw the plant, now looking very much alive and healthy. Unexpectedly, he grabbed it and brought it back to their backyard garden. And with a smile on his face, he placed it back where he got it. As he whispered, "Thank you for teaching me a valuable lesson."
Isabella, may I have one, please? I just want to try how it tastes. Isabella's classmate Annie whined as she pleaded for a biscuit during their break. No, you can't have one. Firm on her decision to keep her biscuits to herself, Isabella walked away from her friend, ignoring Annie's shouts of, "You're so selfish. Please, I just need your doll for my tea party." Zoe, another classmate of Isabella, pulled on the sleeves of Isabella's sweater as she asked for her permission to play with the said doll during their playtime. However, Isabella once again refused to hand over her possession to her classmates' outstretched hands as she repeatedly shrieked, "You can't play with it." Unfortunately for Isabella's classmates, her stinginess is an occurrence they faced every day. However, when the pandemic struck, their school turned to online classes to ensure the safety of their students. Isabella considered this change to be a blessing, as she didn't have to worry about her classmates borrowing her things. Being an only child, she also didn't have to worry about sharing her things with siblings. At least I can keep all my toys to myself now. Right, Luna? Isabella smiled as she played with her fairy doll while she was out in their backyard garden. As they were well off, their mansion sported a garden complete with a playground and a swimming pool. She was currently sitting on the swing as she talked to her favorite doll.
Unexpectedly, a bright light appeared in front of her. She covered her eyes and accidentally dropped Luna while doing so. She peeked through her right hand and was shocked to see a life-sized Luna standing in front of her. "Luna, is that really you? You're a real fairy?" At the moment, Isabella felt very puzzled. She knew fairies weren't real, but no matter how many times she blinked, Luna did not seem to disappear. "Why, of course, Isabella. I've been watching over you for many years now." Luna smiled warmly as she continued. "I thought this was the perfect time for me to reveal myself, as I needed to teach you a valuable lesson." The more Luna talked, the more Isabella was becoming confused by the second. "A lesson?" Luna chuckled lightly. "Yes, dear. You'll know soon enough. For the meantime, I want you to have this fruit." In Luna's outstretched hand is a shiny crystal-shaped teal fruit. A fruit which, by the looks of it, seems unreal. Isabella, though a bit reluctant, accepted the fruit politely. She was surprised to find that its texture was fleshy, similar to that of a real fruit. she can't help but ask, "Can this be eaten?" Yes, but do not eat it just yet. You will need to first learn how to possess a special gift. After uttering these words, Luna suddenly disappeared in the blink of an eye. Isabella tried to look for her fairy doll, but had no luck in doing so. With Luna in her doll form nowhere to be found, Isabella went inside her house with a strange fruit in her hand. She went up to her room and heard her parents from downstairs reminding her about their planned trip to the mall that same day.
She suddenly had an idea and placed the fruit in her bag as she thought of packing a snack for their said trip. The mall they went to had 2 separate buildings. They were about to cross the street in order to explore the other building they have not gone to yet, when Isabella found an old man sitting beside the traffic light with his hands outstretched as he was begging for food. Out of sudden pity, Isabella found herself in front of the old man and thought of giving him the fruit she brought. The old man thanked her endlessly with tears in his eyes.
Young lady, may you be blessed for your kind soul.
As this was the first time Isabella experienced such a thing, she smiled awkwardly and continued on with her parents. By the time they went home, she was curious if she would find Luna in their garden again. Peeking into the window of her room, she was shocked to find a big tree full of the strange fruits in front of the swing where she last saw Luna. She immediately ran to the garden and towards the tree. Instead of finding Luna in human form, she saw her favorite doll sitting by said tree. She held the doll in her hands and smiled warmly. "The best position in the world is indeed the gift of giving."
It all started with The Key by Sophia King. 10-year-old Henry Mills didn't think his quarantine would end up this interesting. Honestly, when the quarantine was implemented in his hometown, he was pretty excited, since that means getting a break from school as well as a little time for some reading.
However, as the months passed and the pandemic continued to cause panic all over the world, he slowly felt bored. He had finished his long list of to-read books. But even if he loved to read, Henry wished that he could experience other things too, even if several months of continuous reading technically did that for him.
That all changed the day of his 11th birthday. He thought it strange when his late grandfather gave him a key for his gift. Was it for a car or a house? Isn't he too young for that?
The key came with a note, which read, "Use it on your books," in his grandfather's messy handwriting. The rest of his family were confused too. Their grandfather did have the reputation of being very mysterious, even to their grandmother.
He didn't discover what the key could do until later that night, when he was playing with it while rereading his old storybook filled with fairy tales. This wasn't like the typical book where the stories were separated into chapters. In this book, the fairy tales were all connected into one way or another, and each character wasn't like the ones from the Disney movies. Each one had a more complex backstory. This was the reason Henry got into reading in the first place.
He was rereading the part where Tinkerbell stole some pixie dust to help a young queen find her destined soulmate when the key slipped from between his fingers. Henry's eyes widened when the key landed standing on the page, with its teeth buried through the pages. When he pulled the key away, it seemed like it never even landed there, as there were no marks on the page.
Use it on your books. Grandfather's words echoed through his head as he observed the key. Carefully, Henry reinserted the key into the page. Its teeth sank through and then he turned it clockwise. The book suddenly began to glow, and Henry was surrounded by the bright lights.
When his vision became clear, Henry was shocked. He wasn't in his room anymore. Instead, he was in a room with a tall, dark walls and a dome-like rooftop, where several lanterns were hanging from. As he turned about, he saw a large canopy bed, which he noted he and his parents could probably fit in. A few inches from the bed was a desk and a chair where a woman with waist-length dark hair was sitting on.
Excuse me, miss, Henry called out, but the lady didn't seem to hear him. He tried again, but still, no response. Then, from the corner of his eyes, he noticed something green. Turning around, he saw a green light entering the room. It enlarged until another woman with wings and was wearing a sparkly green dress stood there.
Tinkerbell. Henry recognized her immediately from her painting in the book. That meant he was inside the book, watching the scene unfold live. As the scene progressed, he found himself following the characters, though they don't seem to see him. This felt even more amazing than actually reading. This time, he experienced what the characters were doing. Henry realized now he could be a character in the book, just like he always wanted to be. The months following were the best. Every night, after his parents tucked him in, he'd pull one of his books out and inserted the key in it. Even though the characters couldn't really see him, it felt amazing to experience the things that the characters got to do. He felt like he was truly part of the story.
Even after the years passed by, Henry still used his key once in a while. He traveled to the books back and forth, and after each journey, he felt that he unleashed a better version of himself. He became more confident. He became more inspired to write in order for him to create worlds of his own. And that's when his love for writing started. It all started with a key.